Welcome to TradeNBI.com. This is Jonas. Reports for the 24th. Well, right in the schedule here, moving towards that 100% was what we were suggesting from this magenta move. It was only a question of whether or not enough shorts would be able to propel it, as long as we had this nice separation of blue to gray also. Pretty darn clean within that move. Last time it crossed over was right before this dip here. DOC standpoint, we had green still rising. We haven't got a complete reset from short-term buyers, though. I mean, it's come down significantly from the elevated areas. So most of this has been the midterm and long-term buyers really picking up the slack. We can see developing potentially sign dropping back above it, but as long as that shakeout continues to rise, all clean, all good. Will it be, some dramatic breakthrough? Probably not. Nasdaq's still trailing quite a bit. You can see, relatively speaking, how close the S&P is to the 100% Fibonacci line versus where the Nasdaq is, and that some of it is just because the Nasdaq had an outside move relative to the S&P. But overall, reading-wise, I mean, looking almost identical. A little bit stronger, I think, from an MBI standpoint. You should continue to see the rise. Now, of course, you can see the last time you had a spike like this, you can expect that you're going to get something to that same effect. It's not guaranteed, because even when we had it here, you had enough short interest popping up, and that kept the rally actually moving a bit longer. So, you got the opportunity for those things to keep hope alive, as they say. But it really makes a big difference on the shakeout, because as long as that shakeout continues to go, you're not going to have the breakdown. So you see it the earliest part when the shakeout starts to have a lower histogram reading. From a Treasury standpoint, again, this is a real big confusion at this particular stage for the Fed. We're going to start to get, maybe real data coming out from BLM, labor for statistics and that, but could take some time still. I'm not all that confident. The real pressure is going to be Trump is going to try and talk oil down. You already heard it yesterday. He was starting to talk about, convincing the Saudis and that to lower oil prices and that. And that job loading is having some effect, but literally all it is just a return back from, right before the inauguration. So not a whole lot. And we still don't know how the whole offshore drilling thing is going to play out and how long that's going to take to resolve. So, any job loading helps if it's going to get prices done at least lower. That's the only way to stop inflation. From a practical standpoint, despite what some of your economists will say, at the end of the day, lower energy prices are always going to improve economic growth and keep prices down, because it's going to really impact the free flow of goods. And when you have extra supply, it's pretty much supply and demand issue. It's not that hard to calculate, really. It is interesting, though, that as his tough talk on tariffs, you're already seeing a lot of companies saying that they're going to invest in the U.S., and you're already hearing all these big proposals of money. Of course, that all takes time, and he doesn't have a whole lot of it. That's the reality of it. It sounds like just started 4 years. Well, yeah. By the time in 6-8 months go before any of this stuff starts to really impact, it's going to be a ways. But you can see gold reached its 100% here, breaking out into new highs. It's going to continue to do so. It hasn't finished its run, and it's going to be relative to what the deficit spending is, and that is also going to impact your cryptos, which are going to continue to skyrocket. Not to mention the much more supportive stance that they're getting already from regulatory view, at least from Trump's administration. So, these things all have a significant impact going forward, and I think that that's really going to be the really driving force. The real question will come, are they going to end up doing a U.S. coin for some other purpose that will help mitigate the debt? Either that, or you've got to produce some other kind of coin or something that represents it, just to get out from underneath that massive interest payment, which is just only going to skyrocket, and it just spirals. And the acceleration of this debt cycle is just only going to amplify every year from here on. It's going to be a big topic as time moves forward. ETH coming back a little bit from its massive doldrums, so to speak. From a 50K standpoint, while we reached the peak, it came off that a little bit, faded. We had a little bit of softness read there, but no dip in the magenta, so that created a little more short cover rise. At this particular stage, we're just about to enter a little teeny bit of soft phase yet. We haven't crossed underneath yet, so that hasn't quite had its full impact. Intraday was pretty straightforward, just your gentle up and downs. Here in post market, filling back some of that work from before, if my chart will cooperate. No, it doesn't want to move. Always something, right? Anyway, the long and the short of it is that we're off just fractionally at this particular stage, which is relative to the increase. So we're doing just fine as far as that goes. I think the bigger questions are going to be some of the broader policy areas to look at, which would definitely fall in the area of energy as far as not unrelated items down in the future, but literally how oil production and that will be changed. And maybe just a little too early. I mean, it hasn't even been a week he's been around. So I think you're just going to have to wait a little bit longer. And I think that's what the market is sort of in that position too. And the question will be how contentious the Fed is going to be with them. And we don't know that one yet. Will we see a meeting between him and Powell? I don't know. That would definitely be telling. So those are the things to look for. As always, if there's anything relevant, I'll put on the Skype chat for you. Have a good one. Trade well.